सो हाय एवरीवन। आज है 11 तारीख जून का महीना एंड बुधवार का दिन। एक्सपायरी आज के दिन कोई नहीं रहने वाली, बट प्रॉब्लमेटिक वही है कि बुधवार के दिन वी हैव सीन सम ड्रास्टिक मूव्स इनटू द मार्केट दैट वाज प्रीटी dangerous thing today. So if market is giving opening a gap up from last 2 days. Market is opening gap up only. So if this turns out to be a green candle on opening itself, then it will be very problematic for us because what will happen? The sellers will start exiting from the market. Most probably looking like it is not turning into a green candle. But so if the sellers start exiting from the market, we will have to face some trouble out there. So let's see what this turns out to be because our view is totally bearish today. So let me add the at the money premiums here just to observe the market movement. So call options, if you look, are pretty much showing some rejection from downside, and the put options have also decreased in the value. It is showing some sort of support over the previous day's closing price. If you look at the Bank Nifty also, Bank Nifty has broken out the supports, but the way it is showing the hammer kind of thing from 500, not exactly from 500, but after the breakdown of 500. So that's a problematic thing because it might have attracted good chunk of sellers over this area. Yeah. And if you want to look at our positions, so it is running pretty decent only because we are into the OTM option. So we are not facing any kind of trouble right now, at least. So let me go to the analyzer. Uh, If you look at this in a builder, we have already achieved close to 5% of target, but yet we are waiting for another 4%. The reason is simple that the premium that we had has almost negligible delta. If you look at the delta of the premiums, uh, so let me make you through the delta. One it has a zero point 0.3 delta, one has a zero point 0.9 delta. So zero point 0.3 delta is a problematic delta, no doubt. But think from this perspective, if market goes 100 points against you, you will be facing 30 points of loss in this zero point 0.3 delta. Also, today is not expiry, so that we can see the gamma spikes in the premium. So that is also not the thing going to happen today. But yes, the problem here come could be कि if market sustains above this particular red line, then it would be very problematic. Also, another thing, if you look at the price also on daily time frame, it is showing that because it has not got any kind of good retracement. Only tomorrow is been a 140 points of candle. Otherwise, there is no as such retracement happened, right, into the market for upside movement, further upside movement. So that one thing could be uh, thought here. Okay, if market does not show weakness, then it will be very problematic for us. But think from the stop loss perspective that where will be the stop losses of the market? In a buying trend, will you rather think that people will be selling over this area? Definitely yes. But after this gap up, will they be holding? Definitely no. So after this gap up, market might have removed the sellers over this area. So sellers of previous day will be removed. And from yesterday's sellers, if you think these sellers, initial sellers would be removed by this kind of move. Maybe lastly there could be some sellers sitting. So to remove them, a hammer of pretty decent points will be good enough to remove them. Otherwise, there will be no SL available on the higher side. So what market could do? Because but on the lower side, if you think buyers will be there, also after the breakdown, 25,000 breakdown not happened right now yet. So buyers will be sitting happily with their positions, thinking that this low should sustain. So right now it is showing like sustaining, so they could average out. Means they could add their positions into the buying side again. So from where the stop losses will be easily created into the market. Might be little bit of loss is running in our position, not loss exactly, but a little bit of negative momentum because call options are spiking. That is what pretty expected also. But the initial 5 minute candle has shown such a heavy bullishness, it becomes very unrealistic for us to buy that. Look, the VIX is also at all-time low. Means 13 is not something the VIX should look like. So I think Gamma is troubling us. But once the spike turns negative here, that will be the point where we could think of something. If I would be buying option, right, I will be definitely thinking of buying this option. Let me take you through the 1 minute chart also. Why I am not buying? Because of the VIX only. That's the only reason. This is the first time pullback, so I'll be waiting for the second one. And also, it has some sort of rejection, so buying here would be not an issue. The stop loss is very less here, but problem becomes this could be the first time trap also. Let the low break. After that, there could be one position made in this put option, but I am not going to execute that. I'm just observing the price. Sensex has also sort of taken resistance from the previous high, but the way it has shown rejection from the downside, which is a pretty decent support area, looks like it is not going to sustain that. So here could be a possibility. Stop loss will be this much only, close to around of say 6 points, and let's see how this comes out to be. If this turns out to be good, eventually our option selling position will also turn out to be good. Definitely, there will be spikes in your option selling position because it is not that easy for the market to go in your direction. Okay, so it is turning good right now, and we are getting close to say 5 points in our direction. The way we have booked earlier also close to say 50 to 60 points from option buy. These are the things not possible with this kind of VIX. So that's why I stopped buying option in this VIX. Once the VIX increases of strikes near close to say 17 to 18, then it will be very good for us to buy. So right now it is showing the rejection, which is pretty fair thing only. If I'm thinking from Bank Nifty perspective, Bank Nifty has already shown the weakness in this particular hammer, which is close to of 170 points. Market has already attracted good chunk of buyers over 500 because it has taken support exactly from that. So for Bank Nifty going negative is pretty obvious. And for Nifty and Sensex, once once Sensex breaks down 400, then it would be very good for it to further move downside. Till that point, it should be a point of worry also. But the premiums that we are in the selling leg have almost zero point 0.3 delta. And if you look at the break even also, break even has become 227, 229 or 230. That means that okay, we can wait till 230 and we can also digest that sideways momentum. I think this position has taken the SL, not yet, but it will definitely showing some sort of rejection of the 5 minute. So call option has also look. If you ask me, puts are not looking that bullish, and calls are not looking that puts are not looking that bullish, no doubt. But calls are also not looking bullish because the spike it has made, it's become very unreal for the market to get there. Let's see if goes, then we can't deny the fact, and we have to book whatever we are getting. It's just a matter of 1 hour. Let me be honest with you. In next 1 hours, from 9:27, if this run time becomes 2:27, it will be very easy to identify do I gonna hold this position or not. Because once the initial hour of volatility an option seller digests, it is very easy for the entire day to sit, for a seller to sit for the entire day. Otherwise, in the first 1 hour only, there is a chance of getting hit. Otherwise, not. Otherwise, market will stay slow and OTM options will definitely lose their value. No doubt, market is showing positiveness over showing hammer over doing different multiple kind of things. Bank Nifty is negative and Nifty and Sensex are holding. That means people would be thinking that Bank Nifty would hold and definitely they would be buying there. But what really happens is Bank Nifty will not hold. It will pull down both of the indexes because it's very obvious that you will be having a natural incline towards major indexes. What do I mean by major indexes? It's that who is having a higher value, a higher number of value. That means two indexes are going in upside. So you'll be definitely biased towards one more index to go downside, to go in that direction, which is upside. So it's very obvious, but that is something that we are not thinking, which our thinking does not inclines with. But the way 15-minute hammer is shown, man, crazy. After showing gap up, who have thought the market will do such a downside move and make it a clear hammer? But till the point we are below this red line, we think we should be Not worrying about that much because Bank Nifty is also very bearish right now because it has broken the 500 with a good closing of 15-minute candle itself. If this entire scandal 50% retracement or 50% breakdown happens, which is below 25,100, then it will be very fine for market to go further downside. Otherwise, we have to face trouble. One thing also problematic here, what becomes is, see, from the last 2 days, market has shown gap up, and after that retracement, gap up, and after that a selling side move. So today it is very impossible that after showing gap up, market will do the retracement kind of move. It is reversing here. Let's see, I will update you. No doubt it has shown the rejection from exact line that we have placed right now, placed here. But this rejection should sustain. If this becomes a bluff, then it will be problematic. The probability of it sustaining very high. Reason think from this perspective, in 15 minutes you have seen that much of hammer, right? As option buyer, you will buy and sit having a stop loss of this much point, which is 100 points, which is not a big thing in this market. So 100 points of stop loss if you are placing, you will be definitely wanting 100 points against it. So market going 100 points, tell me one reason why should market go 100 points higher? Is there any stop loss available? Definitely there will be, but think from this perspective that if any random or small seller sitting over this area, looking at this hammer of close to 100 point, will they not be exiting their position? Definitely yes. But think from other perspective also, if any buyer would have bought here, will they be exiting looking at the red candle after the hammer? Definitely not. Because the overall trend is on the buying side, you will be definitely sitting for the market to test the low or go towards the low, at least come near the low so that they would be getting fear and exiting from the market. That is what I can analyze right now at this point. It is exactly the previous days swing high, which market has taken resistance. People would be placing this high as a level, then he might be selling over this area. But Bank Nifty has done a good selling momentum. Currently, it is showing rejection candle on 1 minute. One thing that is totally out of my understanding is why the premium is showing positivity right now. I think one possible reason could be there might be sellers sitting over this. It's not likely that market has done a good retracement so that it should go ahead because it has not. The retracement, if you look, is negligible of the entire swing. Possibility of going in this way becomes very less, but I have to accept the loss also. So let me be not fighting with the market because it has given the profit to the buyers only from the opening itself, hurting us only, hurting our profits also. Let's say most probably I think that this should turn out to be negative, but if not, then I'll get set in the loss happily. Again, it's taking resistance from the exact swing high. Man, this is crazy. If you look at this, it is taking exactly resistance from the previous high. So definitely people would be selling over this area, and if they attract a good chunk of sellers over this, then definitely there will be a further buying side move. But look at the possible hammer. Look at the hammer, and what is the possibility of being having a buyer on low side, very high. That's what keeping me into this position. So the gamma here has become minus zero point 0.1, which is not an issue as such, and also delta is little bit has become higher. That's why we are saying little bit higher fluctuation in the premiums because having we are having a decent or you say let's OTM delta premium. So that's what making me confident now. So if you look at the futures price, definitely future price is holding, but the premiums are falling, which is our expectation also. This is the point where we are facing trouble to hold this position yesterday, and after that there is no point of looking back here. Is it possible that spot future price will stay here only or little bit of higher that it will spike close to this? I think the possibility is very low. But if that happens also, we are going to accept the thing. Let's see what this turns out to be. Because it is showing right now the negativity which we are expecting also. Fair enough. Let's see. I will update it. So here is the point. If Nifty is showing negative candle and not doing the negative momentum around 500, so it will be very hard for the Bank Nifty to go for the downside also. So this candle closing becomes very important here because if this turns out to be this kind of candle below 500, 500, then it will be very hard because it's very obvious that sellers will come and sit over this area, placing the stop loss of this on a high amount because it's not likely that in a mind-end people would not think like selling. They will, if market price becomes very negative, they will definitely sell here. So problem will become if market does not continue this can which is seems like it is not continuing on the downside. But if you think from this, when these two indexes are showing positivity, this is showing negativity. And right now this is if turns out to be a bit positive also, then the possibility of these two turning positive becomes very low. Showing like it's continuing towards the downside, but that's what is important, right? It should be fast enough so that people will be not getting that much of time to think about this also. Definitely the persons, the buyers will be thinking that uh, buying over this hammer, they will be also getting trapped on this channel. Also, the people who will be thinking that this is a trap of hammer selling over this area, they will be also getting trapped themselves. So this is a pretty confusing scenario because Magnity also not aligned with Nifty, but I think this shouldn't be an issue for us because Magnity has already done a pretty good moment. So fair enough, decent expectation from Magnity also. Here it could be a thing to look at it because Bangalore has this much of area to go because after that it should move because it will be a healthy retracement of 20% of the entire buying phase. But if this comes here, then it will become 30%, which is very good. But question becomes is will it come in a straight line or will it do some sideways kind of momentum? After that, the uh, thing could happen. But yes, there is a gap in Nifty and Sensex to come below, which is this at least till this point. So it would probably see 100 breakdown and also this these lows breakdown. If market is really in a mood of doing the healthy retracement, then it is somewhere close to this is also not an issue. Let's see how this further moves.
So right now the current situation is market has done the breakout which was previously not expected, but right now it has done. This is the range that we are expecting from the market, and market has clearly broken out that range. Hence we have closed the position around this point when market broken out 25 200. And the rest of the things, what I can ensure here is if market turns out to be a little bit bearish here, I may add one position towards the buy side from the breakdown of this because that will be a trap for M pattern sellers over this. So I will be adding one position, targeting the next expiry which is of 19th June. Till that point, I don't have to do anything into the market. Even if market goes uh, near 25,000 also, that will be not an issue because it is right now away of 200 points from 25,000, which is very rare for the market to reach and very less likely also. But if comes also, then I will be getting some decent amount of chunks out of it because it is a far expiry, kind of a calendar spread. But because of the margin requirement of the expiry, I am not using that in current expiry. I will be executing for the next expiry onwards, which is on 19th June. So based on that view, I am waiting for this breakdown to happen, on which we will be getting one good position to have a bullish overview from there. Let's see that happens within what time span. And if you look at the VIX also, that is also very low. And the probability of it increasing in the recent upcoming days is also very less likely to be. Let's say it has shown some ammo kind of pattern here. But if that comes out to be negative, then we can have some positions towards the upper side. Let's wait. So here this particular candle has a volume in it, and that will become a good point for the upside entry. Let me ensure that there is no issue in that. Okay, so particularly we are executing this particular entry. Here we are selling. First, let me buy the buying leg first. We have bought this one, and against that we have short. So this particular leg. So everything is totally fine with this. We should have waited for this, but nonetheless, we'll be having good volumes in it, so there shouldn't be any issue in this particular position. So let me show you that how it looks. So this is the booked one, which is booked on post break even only. That for this one, we have executed at fairly decent price. So let me show you in the strategy builder itself. So go towards the positions. So the margin utilized here is 57K, let me open the builder. Here the max profit that you can have is this much, and the max loss is this much. Probability is this, and the margin you placed is close to 57,000, which is fair enough. And if you look at the delta is zero point 0.2, which is relatively good only. Let me close all the book positions. So this is the current position. You should have waited for this low to be broken, but nonetheless we have a view which is very recent only. Because on weekly time frame, if you look at the market, it has clearly done the breakout of this particular days. Most likely it will make a higher side closing on this week also, or next week also. It will be most likely to stay above this low, which is our view. This low should sustain in the upcoming days. This is what our view looks like. And if that happens, then it will be very good. And if you look at the break-even point also, the point of break-even is 24,978. Till the point that market is above that level, we will be having no issues in this position. Right now it is going in a little bit of negative, but no worries. I will be sharing with you the update about this position in the upcoming time. I should have waited for this low to be broken, but I don't think there will be much of an issue. This candle has turned out to be good bearish only. So most likely here the pattern breakdown also happened. This should turn out to be negative. Let's say we get to know that should I be holding this in this particular position or exit it out. This candle has a good volume in it also. Not likely it should be worse. Okay, this would be the best point. The combined delta that we have is 0.021, which means that for every 100 points of move towards the upside, we will be getting 20 points against that. The signs of it not sustaining here is very high. There's a little bit of confusion in the buyers and sellers that each side will get concluded over. Really, the puts are not increasing that much. I think the previous view is which we have is working right now. Let's see. I will explain you what happens. So let me quickly share with you what I have done in the entire thing. Firstly, the market has trapped the buyers by showing them a move above 200. I was pretty confident about that the market 200 to how it can go. But still, my conviction towards my trade will lose because I don't want to lose the profit. That's why I have exited this particular position on this point, running in break even only plus 162 something. And the second position that I took, there is no particular plan, but I was thinking that market will not come below 25,050 in the expiry till the next expiry, which is of 19th June. But on that position also, I lose the confidence, and for that I need to exit. And on that particular position, the loss is also pretty not that much. If you let me show you what is the loss in that particular position. So the loss was somewhere close to, let me see the strike prices. So 25,050, this was the put shown, and against that, after the money put, what is this one? So we are somewhere close to minus 500 is what the stop loss is. Minus 500 is what I have lost. And in this particular position, I have gained some more, and overall, I have a loss of this much of amount. One thing that I did mistake here is I have gone in 5 lots, option buy position, but that was my mistake that I admit totally that because of a FOMO or pretty much a FOMO, I got into this position. Quickly, I realized that I got exit from a little bit of high amount just to get the brokerage, but I should never be doing this again in the life because as much as my fund is growing, I should be keeping away myself from these kind of things. And this is something that I uh, bought just to place this and to get the margin out of it. This is what everything looks like. A pretty decent day, but I was pretty convinced that market will not go. Still, I exited. That's what the learning looks like. So, what one thing that you should take away from today is that you should never ever watch your position of option selling in shorter time frame. Otherwise, what will happen on a shorter time frame, highs and spikes will make you lose the conviction that you have on longer time frame. That's the thing, that's the learning that you should take away from this trading session. That was a pretty learning trading session, I would say. And also, the second thing that you should take away from this session is don't ever get into any position which has no particular setup plan, right? If you have not planned it, if you do not have planned it, just don't go for it. It's as simple as that. So that's what I am learning from today. So pretty decent day only. So I will be updating you how things are going in my journey. Definitely make sure that you subscribe to this channel and also liking my videos. Thanks for watching.